Now, August doesn't start the bow season every year, but September does, and it's just right around the corner. September for a lot of states. I know you in Michigan, Ohio, it might be October 1st, but things are really heating up, and there's a lot we can do in August to ensure that we have a great hunt. There's a lot we can do in August to really tear our hunt apart too, because we get so excited at seeing these giant velvet bucks. We can't wait to go out, and we get too invasive. And if your season opens September 1st for some of you, middle of September, for example, Minnesota, Wisconsin, where I hunt, then you can't afford to make mistakes. And we'll talk about that going forward too. But one thing I want you to know is I always looked at it like bucks were shedding their velvet early September. They're going hard horn around September 1st, sometime around there. Some bucks are still in velvet. But really, antlers actually stop growing more in early to mid-August. August 10th, August 12th, August 15th. I would say, Dylan, by August 15th.
Yeah.
They're pretty much
all the way there by then, I would say.
Yeah. And so you're getting a good look at those bucks at what exactly they're going to be, minus the velvet, of course. And so that gives you kind of an expectation for these bucks. You can't look at it like, well, we got 2 more weeks, going to grow a lot. Nope, it's about the 10th, 12th. They really wind down to nothing. By the 15th, probably the majority are completely done. And so keep that in mind. Number 2, how are you going to narrow down a target buck? This is a hard one for a lot of people, because you're looking at it that, boy, you're getting glimpses of this buck during the summer. And especially if it's a big one, how many of you out there, myself included, have seen a monster during the summer that you want to target, you want to hunt, you want to shoot, and you put every effort into that buck? Every time you see it, it gets you really jazzed up, gets your heart rate pounding, really gets you pumped up for that opening day, but you're not being realistic. What I mean by that is you lay this giant plan of attack for this buck, and your chances are not very good that you get them, and I'll talk about that. I want to see that. Right now, you're just starting to get to see that buck a little bit. And as these weeks progress through August and into early September, you start to see more and more of that buck. Typically, we're not seeing them every day, during daylight, on a food plot. You just go shoot them. That's not the way it works. Even though it shows that on YouTube and some of the outdoor shows, it doesn't work like that typically most of the time. You get glimpses of this buck. And so I want to see a trend. You know, we often talk about August, September is a horrible time to take a deer census, for example. Scientific models on big 2,000, 5,000 acre properties or more, because there's a consistency of the deer herder and they're not changing, they're not leaving the property, coming to the property, then they can take a census every August and it's going to be reflective of the deer that are only on that property because they never leave. However, on small properties, doesn't matter if it's 500 acres or 5 acres, those deer are just transit. And a lot of times those mature bucks have a completely different home range, a completely different property, especially if you're just looking at 500 acres or less. Maybe he's on the edge and he moves to the middle. But a lot of the times he's on several properties away and he moves in, or vice versa. So I want to see a trend that we're not seeing much of them now, and that buck is only expanding. That is a trend that I would look at hunting and hanging my hat on, because he's ever increasing and you're not getting overly excited. You're being realistic. Always look at what's this buck going to do for fall food, fall cover, and that extends into winter cover. That's going to be something you can hang your hat on. Ask yourself the question. For one, obviously, is this trend of how much I'm seeing them increasing or decreasing? But really ask yourself, does it make sense that this buck is going to be in this location by the time it gets into early October, mid-October? So many people talk about October lull. Well, bucks are shifting habitat, so that buck you've watched all summer is gone. He's going to fall food and fall cover. High stem count, thick cover, hardwood regen, shrubs, upland cover, grasses, briars, really thick, dense cover. He can't live in there in the summertime because he could smash his velvet into it. So always ask yourself when you're going in for that plan of attack throughout August and getting excited, is it realistic this buck will be around? And I'm not saying you won't take a chance on him opening day. However, be very realistic and always look for plan B. Or am I going to shoot this buck over a food source in the afternoon, evening that's fall related sometime in September or October, depending on when your season opens. Hey guys, just a second, we'll be right back. But First Light has an incredible launch. Their phase, core, and thermic outer gear. Lightweight, medium, heavy. I mix and match all of them. First Light's evolved over the last 5 years that I've used it, going from windproofing to all this great stuff. Even their lightweight stuff has fleece now. It's all super quiet, fits incredible, and I feel privileged to use it. Please check it out. July 30th. This is a giant launch, the biggest I've seen since I've been with First Light, so check it out. Go look at the site, and now we'll go back to the video. Low impact. This is part of a problem too. You have that buck, he's trending more and more sightings as you head into the season, and then you go in and you clear a bunch of shooting lanes, you clear some access routes to get in with a stand. You're better off if you have that buck and you're going in last minute and you're going to hang and hunt. Look at it that less is more. You're better off being outside the movement a little bit and playing it safe and getting in and out without a lot of damage to the area, as opposed to you're seeing this great trend and you go in, and once he smells you, hears you, sees you, especially if he's an older buck, he is gone. So the closer it gets to the start of the season, practice very low impact techniques to get in there. However, if it's August and early September and you're setting up the perfect rut stand hunting, or late October, late season, then by all means go in, have at it. And I always find that bucks give you about a 3 to 4 weeks worth of forgiveness, meaning that in 3 or 4 weeks they're back in those normal patterns. And so you can try to take advantage of that fact and really assess, is this a buck I'm going after now? Then lighter is better, low impact is better. It's better sitting on a chair in a fence row than trying to put up a pop-up and have this beautiful stand location or blind location that looks really nice when you're just spooking deer trying to get that in there. Weather tips. Again, every month you're watching this. It was really interesting. Last week we had some temperatures. They've been in the 80s, even over 90. And we had these temperatures that actually got down to, the forecasted low was 50 to 52, right around there. It was the coolest night. Well, on that cool night, we had several of our shooters that were waiting to come onto the property show up and move around. And I think sometimes they're just making this movement. It's hot out. They go from bedding straight to food source and back again. They really don't wander around that much, except when you start seeing those cooler temperatures. I think it gets inside them. They feel more comfortable cruising. No different than a nice frosty morning in late October, early November. You'll see a lot more movement when it's cool out and on your trail cameras than you will when it's super hot and unseasonably warm temperatures. So look for those trends in scouting in August, and again, you can apply those to your hunt in September and October right away. And then opening day. Always think about this. You know, maybe you have high pressure. Maybe you have high pressure, you're hunting public land, small private land parcels, doesn't matter. In that case, if there's a buck that I'm after, and I think I have a reasonable chance, I'm gonna go in regardless of the weather on opening day, try to hunt that buck. But if I think I have a moderate level of pressure or less, I'm not too concerned about neighbors, or maybe I'm remote hunting in public land. I like hunting on public land where I don't see other people. So I don't have to worry about, I want to find, if I'm down on some of the areas in the giant public land areas in Ohio I used to hunt, or Pennsylvania, or Michigan. We hunted Pennsylvania last year. If I'm hunting a spot like that, well, I'm not going to worry too much about it because I'm going to be so far back, and I'm going to be on maybe a white oak acorn knoll, and in a really remote area. Maybe I'm going to find an old home site with some apple trees. Maybe it's the outside corner of a clear cut that's a long ways away down a gated road where it takes a lot of effort to get in there. Maybe I'm walking through a lot of property to get to the back of an ag field or a golf course or a neighborhood where I expect mature bucks to utilize at night and then come back to me during the day. Regardless, so if I don't think there's a lot of pressure, then when should your opening day be? You're planning opening day, but just like the rut, you plan this long weekend rut hunt, ask your boss, ask your spouse, whatever it takes. Look at the situation and say, hey, can I slant my opening day towards Monday? It opens on Saturday, but maybe Monday's that cold front day. Sunday's that cold front day. You've already been seeing that better movement throughout July, August, watching those patterns. Those same patterns will persist during the hunting season. So should your opening day actually be your opening day? Obviously you can't hunt earlier, but if you see that cold weather coming 2 or 3 days past that opening day and you're on a big buck, there's not a lot of pressure in your area, then patience often wins when you're really going in on a certain mature buck and waiting for those great weather conditions. I'm not saying you can't shoot a buck in bad weather. Certainly, if there's a lot of high pressure, you're hunting this little hidey hole on public land with a lot of pressure around you, get in there on opening day, try to shoot that buck. But if you don't have to hurry and you have a little bit of flexibility with your timing, maybe push off that opening day for a few days. If you see better weather coming, we look for big temperature drops. Big temperature drops are always brought on by big weather changes. High winds, high rain, thunder, lightning, blizzard, snow, whatever it might be. The more extreme the drop, the more extreme the weather to get it to that drop. And after that drop takes place, deer on their feet. Those big weather events suppress deer feeding. Deer feed 5 times in a 24-hour period. If 2 or 3 or 5 or 7 of those feedings are suppressed because it's really windy, there's a lot of volatile weather, there's a lot of noise and stress, then those deer are going to sit and hold tight. They're going to miss quality feeding opportunities, and they're going to be putting the feed bag on after that weather breaks. So really ask yourself again, when should your opening day be? Maybe push it off a few days if you can afford to and you don't have some pressure in your area. And really, this is the month. You can make some mistakes on hanging stands, maybe going after the wrong buck, not being realistic. And I'll add a final tip in here as it relates to those individual target bucks you're going after and that one buck. Has this buck been telling you for 2 or 3 years that I'm coming to your land more early to mid-October, maybe even during the rut? Then wait until that time in those stands that you see him by to hunt, instead of going in there and picking away at it too early, which can often push and hunter pressure the rest of the deer herd in that area. They won't leave a lot of sign. They're not rolling out the welcome mat for that buck when he does come in. Patience wins, whether it's opening day or waiting for a buck that's been telling you for 2, 3 years that I don't come until this time of the year to actually go in and hunt them. Follow these tips in August and you'll be a better hunter in September and October and beyond. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching the video. I appreciate you watching the videos. We have over 600 articles on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. It's all free. And I also appreciate those of you that check out our books. I have 5 books starting from 2012. We have web classes on the site, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. Check out Pure Wildlife Blends. I really appreciate you guys that have already purchased our seed. We've had thousands of people. We've shipped to 48 states. We have digital land management through whitetailstrategy.com. That's taking all these ideas and concepts I put in the YouTube videos and digitally transforming your land for you. And then finally, we have our clients and client visits. We'll visit over 300 clients as a group this year. We visit anywhere in the country. Boots on the ground is always the best, but we have a lot of ways to help you, from free to client visits and all in between. Check us out again, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, Pure Wildlife Blends, and whitetailstrategy.com.